Who, Tyrone? Yeah, girl, Tyrone. You know him. Who is that, Bessie Faye's son? That's him. You talking about the one that was on his way to jail? Good, that's him. Even got him a church over there. I know he ain't preaching. Good, he's on the corner. He's preaching, telling everybody about a man named Jesus. And I know if Jesus can do something for Tyrone, maybe he can do something. I wish I had somebody. Y'all praying with me? Girl, if he can do it for Tyrone, I know it for Johnny Boy. You know, Johnny Boy just as bad, but you know Johnny Boy's problem is Johnny Boy got a hearing and a speaking problem. Go tell them, go down there and get Johnny Boy and take him on to Jesus. Tell him go and get him, because you know I want my son right now. You know, my son has been acting. I believe that Tyrone. Y'all praying with me? They brought him to Jesus. Here they go. They brought old Johnny Boy to Jesus. They brought him one who was deaf and had an impediment with this speech, and they begged him. They begged him. The Greek literally cares for the idea that they begged him strongly. Hey man, Jesus, can you do something for little Johnny Boy? He's bad, and it's in the tense. That means they kept on. Jesus, please. Jesus, please. Can you do something with him? Can you imagine Jesus just standing there knowing that at one time they had rejected his ministry? But this time he came back. See, I need to put a pin right there and let somebody understand that just because you've been rejected before doesn't mean that you will be rejected again. Sometimes God has to bring you full circle so that people will understand who God really is. You're praying with me? If we're going to reach the lost for Jesus, we're going to have to go where they are. We're going to have to touch them and bring them to Jesus. We cannot isolate ourselves from them. We must not be partakers of their sins, but we must pull them out of club ecstasy. We got to pull them out of the chocolate house and bring them to Jesus. Y'all praying with me? You're praying with me? Watch this. I'm moving. Jesus shows us number two. He shows us something number two. Even though you've been rejected, he shows us something number two. Somebody say number two. That ministry can be done to people that despite their condition, you have developed a compassion for. Jesus came to save the world, but he relates to each of us individually. The Bible tells us that this man was deaf. The word literally means to be dull of hearing. It may have been that this man lost his hearing, maybe as a result of injury, or he may have been born deaf. Either way, this poor man, he cannot hear. Now, I don't believe that he was born deaf. There's too many clues in the text that help us to understand that this man was not born deaf. I believe that this man had done some things in his life that caused him to be deaf. But Jesus was using this particular situation in the life of this deaf and dumb man to particulate a life truth to his disciples. Can I talk about the church real quick? Can I talk about church real quick? In Mark chapter 7 and Mark chapter 8 and all of Mark, you constantly see the disciples walking with Jesus. Y'all praying with me? Everywhere that Jesus goes, the disciples walking with Jesus. Jesus is healing the sick, raising the dead. They're walking with Jesus. They're listening to Jesus preach, and roofs are being torn up. They were walking with Jesus. This how they walk right here. This how they. Oh, y'all praying with me? They're walking with Jesus, and every time they see Jesus doing something, they walking with him. But the problem was, as much as they walk with Jesus, they still act like they were deaf and dumb. That's the church. that it seems like the more we walk with Jesus, the more we display how deaf and dumb we really are. Don't you just come to church just to sit here and look at the folks crazy. You got to be acting like you know what God has done for you. These were the same folks. Just a few stories ago, when Jesus was about to heal that woman, you remember Syrophoenicia? All right. They told her, I said, man, you tell that woman going on. Tell your neighbor, same ones. Don't think that everybody that go to church don't think that everybody that's singing in the choir don't even think that everybody that stands behind God's sacred desk. Y'all ain't saying amen. They may have a case of deaf and dumbness. Jesus was trying to get his disciples to not only act like church. Y'all follow me? He was trying to get them to be the church. It's time out that we stop acting like church and start being the church. We shouldn't change the way we worship God because they don't want to hear us. We got to continue to keep preaching. We got to continue to keep singing. We got to continue to keep praying no matter how they're responding. He had to get his disciples to see that. I believe that's why he came back. Jesus developed a compassion for this man. They brought this man to Jesus. Are y'all praying with me? But look at the text. I'm in Bible country. I need you to look at your Bible. I hope you got your Bible open. I hope you got your Bible open. Look at it. Just look at it. I'm right there in verse number 33. He took him aside. What? He took him aside. Watch this. Y'all in Bible country with me? He took him aside from the who? He took him aside from the multitude. Oh, help me. Holy Ghost. Oh, man. Wait a minute. If you really read this right, wouldn't Jesus want to use this as a display of who he really is? It pushes me to number 3. I only got 4 of these and I'm in number 3. Jesus shows us that ministry is a process of grace. It's not an act of popularity. Let me sit down for a minute on that one. Y'all praying with me? Jesus is not trying to be popular. He's trying to be effective. If many people in the church would quit trying to be popular and be effective, I believe we wouldn't be as dumb as we is. Folk gotta beg you to sing a song. Come on, somebody. Folk gotta beg you to come to church. Ain't nobody gotta beg you with your ugly self. You ought to get up and I wish I help me, Holy Ghost. God, my tongue. Ain't nobody gotta beg you. If you think about what God has done for you, this is not an act of popularity. This is an act of grace. Thank God for giving to us that which we don't deserve. But you can't talk about grace without talking about his mercy. And because in the mercy and the sparing aspect of God, it's because of God's mercies that we are not consumed. And we thank God that because of his mercy, he didn't give to us what we do deserve. I need you to shake your neighbor's hand and say, neighbor, grace is working in your favor. Are y'all praying with me? Instead of being effective, we want to be entertainers. Are y'all praying with me? Instead of being effective, we want to be known on the preaching scene.